Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Peace of Mind Makers podcast. We are on episode 15, and I am going to talk about a couple of related topics this month. I'm going to try to record all the episodes in one night and post them all pretty much at the same time all together. I'm just going to split it up into different episodes so that it's not an overwhelming stream of consciousness. Keep it a little bit organized and keep my train of thoughts on track here. So, first topic is going to be the Birch Moon, which was the first month of the Celtic tree calendar. This is what I base my ritual practices off of and pretty much plan things, schedule things throughout the year based on the qualities of these different months that are represented by these different trees. They're linked to different Celtic deities that represent different qualities as well. And the point of all this, as I've mentioned before, is just to feel more connected to nature. This is all connected to like a lot of, deeply rooted in pagan beliefs, and they were inspired by nature. And I also tie in astrology to my scheduling and planning as well at this point, which in the past was how they created their calendar systems. And so we have the Celtic tree calendar, which is based off of the lunar cycle. And so the first month of this new calendar year within this system is the first new moon after the winter solstice. So that ended up being the very beginning of January. I think it was January 2nd this year. So right at the beginning of January, we had the Birch Moon beginning. And then a couple weeks later, the middle of January, it was the full moon. So that's when I did my ritual. And now we're at the end of January. We're already going to be entering a new Celtic tree month and a new lunar cycle with a new moon. And that'll be the Rowan moon. So that'll be what I talk about in the next episode. But first, the Birch Moon pretty much came in when Capricorn season was like peaking. So I already did an episode on Capricorn season and related it to the Elder Moon, because that's when Capricorn season begins, and Capricorn is a cardinal sign. It's all about initiating and new beginnings. But a lot of these things kind of bleed into one another. They blend. They relate more than they are like distinctly different, in my opinion. And I think that goes for the zodiac signs as well. The signs that are right next to each other in the calendar year, such as Sagittarius, Capricorn, Capricorn, Aquarius, Aquarius, Pisces, and so on and so forth. They all share a lot more similarities than I think people give them credit for. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit during my episode on Aquarius, which I will get to after the next episode on the Rowan moon. So, what's up with the Birch Moon? Well, we're still in Capricorn season when it begins, so it makes sense that it is also the moon of inception, beginning, purification, and also creativity. Capricorns are very creative people. They just don't often get a whole lot of credit for it, because they're, behind the scenes running the show a lot of the time. And, being responsible for your actions, putting in effort that begins something sustainable, something long lasting, thinking of, long term benefits, and kind of making sacrifices sometimes, knowing that maybe the most comfortable path is not the path of the most growth and the most, long-term benefit. So clearing some space first is, also important when you're in the beginning stages. And I think that that's something that kind of miss out on this time of year. People just want to start fresh and they want to just go right into New Year's resolutions, starting something new, but you can't really keep piling new things on if you haven't cleared some space first. So just wanted to mention that, and just don't think that you already have everything figured out before you go into something new as well. Don't expect to have it all figured out or be an expert when you're starting something new. Another reminder for, Capricorn season, even though we are past it now. We all have Capricorn in our birth chart, so it's relevant in some aspect to you. Figure it out, or book a reading and I'll help you figure it out. But either way, don't, assume that you're gonna have it all figured out, but do learn to trust your intuition and let that guide you into figuring it out along the way, despite uncertainties and, just being aware of your surroundings and trusting your self-awareness and knowing that that will let you recognize the signs that your efforts will pay off on the path that you are on. Or if you are maybe feeling so drained that you're like, there's no way this is going to pay off, I need to go in a different direction. That's cool too. Just stick with what your intuition is telling you, follow that, and just see how it feels. I think that Capricorns are very intuitive, and these are a lot of qualities, all these qualities that I've been mentioning, I believe are what blends between Capricorn and Aquarius. And I don't want to talk too much about Aquarius in this episode because I have a whole spiel dedicated to that later, but just as a little footnote there. And that also helps us get ready for Pisces season, which is going to be a doozy for next month. I'll probably just do one episode next month. That's why I wanted to hit on the Rowan Moon this month as well. But anyway, the inner knowledge that Capricorns also have, I feel like this is, a big part of what I do with my full moon rituals. And, even though I do my ritual practice and, set all my intentions, like, into action at that time, when the new moon phase is starting, which is in a few days here, I already start kind of laying the groundwork and getting acquainted with the qualities that I'm going to be, working with as the waxing phase begins. And that comes from these mythological beings that have these qualities. And to me, it's like they're kind of like superheroes that give you that inner strength and that like courage that like, oh, I can do this. It's inspiring to, read these stories and just use that to empower yourself to overcome challenges and whatnot. Or just like be creative and do more fun stuff. That's equally as important. So let's not forget that too. And I think that, just all these qualities. I could go on, but I'm just going to pretty much stop there because there are a lot of similarities with the next Celtic moon tree, which is the Rowan tree, and I'm just going to get right into that in the next episode. So, yeah, it's going to wrap this one up right here before we get too far ahead of ourselves. And thanks for listening. Sorry that was a little abrupt, but I just kind of realized, yeah, I should segue, and it wasn't very smooth, but here we are. Okay, well, anyway, love you guys. I will see you soon.